is acting a little funny, but I'm going to trust the process. That's one of my favorite sayings these days, trust the process. It's early in the morning. I am on my second of 4 legs of travel over the next couple of weeks or so. And I just thought I'd take a moment just before I get on the plane to talk about where I am and where I've been. The last 2 weeks have been full of a lot of excitement, a lot of intensity, and I'll even say quite a bit of anxiety. Sometimes the darkness is where we grow the most, and I will be the first to say it's true. But I want to talk about my book, or my friend's book, DEJA VU, the one that I've been reading. I haven't read in a few days because I have been busy, but because I have a very long flight today, I'm going to read again on the entire flight and catch up. And I am pretty sure I will finish this book before I reach my final destination in a few more days. But with that being said, what I have read has been very interesting. I've had this book for some time, and what I realized is that what I'm seeing has a lot to do with where I am. What I've read thus far has given me hope, has given me insight, has given me, I guess, motivation to trust and believe that although things don't feel like you want them to feel sometimes, that things are always working in the background for your good. I'm a firm believer in all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Well, I don't call myself religious, but I do believe there is a God. I believe in the teaching of Jesus Christ, and I believe I'm called according to the purpose of, my reason for being here. So with that being said, sometimes I don't always feel really good, but it's early and I'm staying with some folk that have allowed me the opportunity to be comfortable, and it's still early and I don't want to wake anybody up because my flight is early and I'm going to be getting my ride in a few minutes. So with that being said, where I am with the book is giving me motivation and it's excitement. But I will say this, I hope to interview with the author soon. But what I just read, like the last 2 or 3 chapters, was not necessarily what I expected. So I I am looking forward to what's coming up next, in the rest of the book. But I am kind of shocked at what I just read, and I'm going to discuss it with the author whenever I do get that opportunity. But with that being said, it's still early, and I want to talk about the second part of why I'm here. This is SWIM, SWIM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean, and I try my best to do that. It's not easy, but I have found if I do that, I may not always get peace from people around me, but inside, I feel pretty good because it's just important to me to say what I mean what I say, and stick to it. Not many people can stay committed to what it is that they say. I see it all the time. But with that being said, I want to talk about commitment and value. Let's say maybe 5 years ago, I started a commitment that is still ongoing, and I've watched it unfold over the past 5 years. It's been a massive struggle. It cost me many tears, lots of heartache and pain, but joy also. And I will say, if I had to, I guess, analyze or make an assessment overall, it's been successful. Even with my weight loss, I talk about it all the time. I've been on and off that. When I am definitely committed, man, do I see the results. And within the past year, I have seen stunning results in terms of how I feel, how I look, how my clothes fit, just all of that. So I want to stay focused on commitment. As a musician, this year we're coming to the last quarter of the year, and the last quarter of the year is usually my busiest time. And the first part of the year, the first quarter, first half, it was kind of slow, but it's starting to pick up. And what I want to say about commitment is this: I probably have received 100 inquiries about going to play and do gigs over the past year. And out of those, let's say 100 serious ones, I may have booked 6 or 7 of those, maybe 10% at the most. And what I want to say about that is the ones that reject my response, because they'll see my page, they'll see my responses and everything, and they'll say, okay, we want this guy. And then they'll send me the date and time and all the information, and I'll respond. And the majority of the ones that I respond back to, they will say, we like you, but you're just not in our budget, so we can't do it. So, of course, naturally, I will try to negotiate and see what I can get. But for the most part, most of the people that reject my response usually say they just can't afford it, but they like me. So what I want to say is I get, well, my service rather, not me. My service gets rejected not because of the value or not because of the desire to have me, but because they are not ready, or they can't afford it, or maybe they just, maybe I just end up not being their cup of tea. But I don't think they would click on my page if I wasn't what they were at least interested in. So, with that being said, their rejection of my service does not take away from my value at all. And I have to keep that in mind as I talk about, commitment within itself. I will talk about something that happened also over the past, I'm going to say 90 days. And this might be a little personal, but I have to say it because remember, this is therapy for me. I've been single for 20 years. And although I've tried to date, I've had interactions, I've never made a commitment. And I don't want to be embarrassed to say, I've been single all that long time and I have not had a major commitment. But I'll say that for the sake of my own self therapy. Within the past 90 days, I learned the value of commitment unlike I've ever learned it. As I told you about those other situations that I committed to and saw the results, I thought I would try a different type of commitment, and I did it. Sometimes when you go all in and you make a serious commitment, in my culture and in my spiritual background, my religious background, if I could say that, they say that's when the enemy starts the most. Whenever you really get serious, when you make up your mind and you're going to do something or you're going to be something. So I will attest to that. Over the past 90 days or so, I kind of made that level of commitment. And I can see where maybe I may not have been accepted, trusted, believed, or I'll just use the word accepted, but it doesn't take away from my value. I know the effort I put in. I know the level of commitment that I made, and I know who I am. So even though, you know, I can't say that I am happy on this very moment, I have lots of joy in my heart. And I'm sharing this not because I'm trying to send any kind of messages or anything. The word says we overcome by the words of our testimony. And that's all I'm doing right now, just sharing an experience about commitment. I understand the value of commitment, consideration, and respect. It's not easy to hold firm to what you say you're going to do and who you are when you're met with opposition. You know, those people that don't accept my, what do you call it? They don't accept my gigs. You know, sometimes I feel bad about it because it's like, man, I know I'm the guy that they want. But if they can't afford it, then I have to be okay with it because I can't go in the hole. You know, I can't just go and, provide the service for nothing because it'll cost me. Anyway, I'm trying to be out of here in the next 5 minutes because I have to get my ride and get to the airport and keep it moving. But I will say that in closing, just the day before yesterday, I booked a holiday gig with a client that knows who I am, that knows my value, that has booked me in the past, that is a repeat client, that knows my history, that knows my integrity, that knows my value and my worth. They paid their deposit. We got all of the particulars straightened out, and I am booked for this gig at extreme top value. They didn't even question. I think it's a little more than I did, the last time I did it, which was the year before last. So I'm saying that to say, although there are those who will not know, who will not see, who will not understand your value, there are those who will definitely see it, who will appreciate it, and who will discipline themselves enough to receive it. So I don't know. I guess I'm preaching to myself this morning as I try to close out the book that I'm reading and just give a little encouragement to myself about commitment. How we feel can really make a difference in how we respond to certain things. But sometimes when we know that we know that we know, our feelings can fool us. Our imaginations can trick us into thinking and feeling things that are actually just flat out not true. But when we set an intention, we make a commitment, and we hold fast to that commitment and our standards, then we can see the salvation of God when we just stand still. Because there's nothing like being sold out to anything. One thing about heading north, if you point yourself in that direction and you don't stop, you will end up north. But sometimes when you waver, you go back and forth, you doubt, you question, it's always a struggle. But I will close on what I've learned about commitment over my entire life. Anytime I have thrown my entire self into something, Les Brown says, what happens if you throw yourself into something, your whole self? Well, what happens is you get the results of that commitment. And it doesn't matter who sees, who accepts, or who even understands your value. When you're sold out, when you're committed, when you continue down the path, and it doesn't mean you can't learn. Sometimes, we'll make a mistake and sometimes someone can bring something to our attention. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you know that you know that you know that you are doing the right things. Don't worry about what it feels like. Don't worry about who accepts it. Don't worry about who rejects it. Just stay focused like I am encouraging myself to continue doing. I've got to catch a flight. I'm going to see my grandkids on this flight. I'm so excited about that. And then I have two other, legs to go over the next few days before I return. But the end of the year looks promising in terms of, my in terms of work. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I'm going to get on the plane and I'm going to finish reading the book. And again, what I read last was kind of, different, took a little turn. And I look forward to speaking with the author and finishing the book and, giving my reviews of it, as well as life itself. Excited about the end of the year and about what's ahead for me. I don't know, but I know my heart. I know my soul. I know my intentions. And that matters more than anyone who can accept or reject that. But here's what I do have a feeling in my heart. Those that know won't matter, and those that matter, they may not even care to know. So keep your head up, stay strong, stay focused, stay pure, hold to your standards, and just keep going. With that being said, I'm going to say it. I don't like saying it anymore. I've got to find something different to say. This finding someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it, mean it, let it be true and all that. It's time to change that because you can love someone. You can say it. You can mean it. You can let it be true. But a knucklehead will find a way to sabotage that. And you can't cast your pearls to swine. And I think that's the overall message that I wanted to convey. Don't cast your pearls to the swine. All right? Find someone you need to say, I love you to. Don't just say it. Show it. Mean it. Let it be true. And pray for me as I head out. I've got some exciting things happening. By the way, on the 6th, somebody inbox me on my social media or my email. And I have an event that's happening on the 6th that's interesting and exciting. And I'm looking forward to that. Also, when I return to my final destination, I have one on the 8th also. So good things are happening. I'm excited about sharing my gifts, skills, and talents. And I look forward to also sharing more with you about as I finish Deja Vu. With that being said, take good care of yourself, okay? And I'll see you when I see you. Gotta catch a plane. As Tom Joyner used to say, I'm on the move. All right? Have a good day. Take care. Keep smiling.